Hi, everyone, and welcome to the New Lines Institute's Crime Beat Conversations. I'm joined by Caroline Rose, Director of the New Lines Institute's Crime Conflict Nexus portfolio, and we're here to discuss reports of President Trump's recent directive for military action against foreign drug cartels. This directive comes about 6 months after the State Department designated several Latin American cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and this represents a significant escalation in U.S. counter-narcotics strategy. Thanks so much for joining us, Caroline.
Of course. Thanks so much, Rafi, for having me. It's great to be here. And thanks so much for this great, exciting new initiative.
Thanks. Let's get into it. My first question for you is, what can we expect these operations to look like realistically? Should we expect surveillance and intelligence gathering, more targeted drone strikes on, let's say, drug production facilities and labs, or can we expect actual boots on the ground efforts?
I think with what we've seen thus far, including the deployment not only of forces on the ground, but also potentially naval and air assets to the Caribbean, we're seeing now a much more multifaceted campaign than what was originally expected. Right after the Trump administration announced that they were going to designate cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, there was this wide expectation, this mass expectation, that this would primarily unfold along the southern border, and that this would result in, for example, drone strikes against cartel networks. Now, however, we've seen the announcement that the Trump administration is deploying assets such as P-8 spy planes, warships, and even submarines into the Caribbean to try and target some of these naval assets that cartels have used to try and transmit illicit consignments. And so it's much more of a bold campaign than I think was initially expected. And I think it will be something that is just not only by ground, but by sea and by air as well.
Great, thank you. And with that bold campaign, one that's bolder than we were expecting, what do you think are some of the unintended consequences we should be looking out for in terms of, cartel operations and how they may change their strategies in response to this directive?
It's a great question. I think that with any illicit organization, they're going to constantly try and outsmart and outmaneuver governmental forces. And already we are behind the curve in terms of trying to understand how these cartel networks behave, how they interact, and then also how they are strategizing for how to export illicit consignments and try and break beyond these boundaries inside the United States. One way that I don't necessarily think this strategy is going to work, for example, we've seen a lot of cartel networks strap illicit consignments to commercial maritime vessels. So these are ships that are carrying illicit goods, and they are trying to incorporate these illicit drugs either inside of these consignments or sometimes even on the exterior of some of these naval assets. And so as a result, sending submarines and trying to target the maritime vessels themselves may not necessarily be effective. And I think that what this could do is that it could encourage cartels to try and shift and incorporate illicit consignments into existing licit streams. So we'll see this, for example, through couriers, through the mail, FedEx, UPS. We'll also see them try and integrate illicit substances on board of commercial maritime vessels, airplanes, all equipment, all transportation mechanisms that cannot be physically targeted by the administration unless you are trying to put lives at risk. It is going to incentivize a lot of creativity and innovation amongst these cartels that I don't think this administration is expecting immediately.
Thank you so much for sharing these insights, Caroline, and thank you all for joining us for this episode of Crime Beat Conversations, part of the New Lines Institute's Mafiocracies project. Please be sure to tune in again soon and to check out our other work and follow along. Thanks, everyone.